Speaking of the blame game, and I know the irony of what I'm about to do. I want to show you something that people are talking quite a bit about. I was looking to make sure I understood what was going on here. This is number 8. This is one of Hogan Gidley's, I think I can say with that reservation, one of Hogan Gidley's top 400 members of Congress. This is Maxine Waters, Democrat from California, who spoke out today and said something that Dan Turrentine and other Democrats were not thrilled with. Number 8, Maxine Waters.
And even those who were out of step with what we are advocating, peaceful protest, did not create any violence. Nobody was shot, nobody was killed. Get it in your head. And so when martial law is called, what are you going to say? I missed the point. Don't miss the point, you all. Don't think that somehow, because they called out the National Guard, there was violence. There was no violence. I was on the street. I know. And I went from downtown detention back out into the community, talking to people what happened in Paramount, what happened in Compton, what happened in Inglewood. So, first of all, get it straight. And don't just rely on what you're being told or the few incidents that you saw.
So she's right in the sense that we've seen worse violence, but if you take her literal words, she seemed to be saying there was none, and obviously there was some. So, Professor, you first, then Hogan, what's the right way to cover that? Should we just ignore it?
Well, so first of all, we've done message testing, not with that particular clip, but with clips like that over the years. And this is exactly likely to provoke defiance by the other side. That is the Republicans. So this is why, Mark, when you show this, when people on Fox News will show this, they're going to get bigger audience. And everybody knows that. And our studies show exactly that. So this is not going to be helpful because it's so asymmetric. The big thing that's missing here, and that's been missing in LA for days on both sides, is time, manner, place rules to the protests. Right. So the number one thing that is allowing these clashes to occur and to occur over and over again, and you just see this just before I got on, I'm watching the CNN reporter who's terrified because she's standing right in the middle of a potential flashpoint that could go up while we're on the air. And the reason is because there are no clear rules for where the protesters should be to disentangle more strongly and cleanly these different sides. And that is something that when we did this with time, manner, place rules in universities, you had much better outcomes than those that did not. When you did this in the summer, last summer with the DNC, much better outcomes than you did not. This is how you can allow for there to be protests when you can, but you can create the rules that say, here are the actual red lines, not just, the head of ICE telling us over and over again, don't cross the red line. Nobody knows where the red lines are.
Right. Hogan, defy all expectations and just say, I probably, presumption of grace to Congressman Waters, and she just misspoke. Go ahead.
I would if this wasn't a pattern with her. I mean, let's be honest, coming out many times in the Trump administration the first time around calling for violence, get in the faces of those in the administration, tell them they're not welcome here anymore, tell them you don't want them here anymore, make a scene, as she said, repeat, but get right in their faces. This is another example of just, I don't know if it's just ignorance or just the willingness to lie to the American people or her constituencies. If someone burned a car in her driveway, I bet she'd say there was violence perpetrated against her, and I'm sure she'd give a lot of reasons for that. The rules that you mentioned that aren't in place, maybe they aren't. Maybe you know California law better. I'm sure you probably do, Professor. But if there aren't rules of where you can protest, that's a failing again at the local level of poor governance, poor leadership, et cetera. And so the desire of Maxine Waters and so many on the left right now, as I see it, to just turn their backs on criminals, criminal activity, and just to let it occur. It's like they get a pass because they're from another country, but then they also give a pass to those from America who commit violent crimes in California. So the rules, the whole state's Thunderdome. There are no rules. It's crazy.
So you're quite, I don't mean Hogan to, you're right to put blame on Democratic leaders in this situation, because after all, it's essentially their constituents that are involved in the violence. And it is, you're quite right to also say that destroying property is violent. And January 6th was almost all what I call non-lethal violence by the rioters on January 6th. And so that's what you're also seeing here. I have created a term for this. I call it non-lethal violence. And the reason is because the people are all over the place on this. So that's what you're seeing here in LA. And yes, but I would also say that it's incumbent upon the news media to actually talk about what would be a possible solution. And yes, it does mean certain leaders will have to adopt time, manner, place, but I'm not hearing in days. And look, I'm not watching it literally 24/7, but I'm probably watching it 12 out of 24.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been paying quite a bit of attention to this. It's my area. And I've not heard a single person on any channel talk about how we need better time, manner, place rules. They're doing the blame game. And this is, I guess, the way to draw audience, but it's not making anybody safer.
Yeah, it's definitely not making it safer. I'm not even sure it draws audience. It's just the reflex of the press.
Want more great clips like that? I've got an idea. Hit the subscribe button, be part of the Two-Way community, never miss a clip, and you can always watch our full episodes, join them live, go to twoway.tv.